Hi everyone, welcome to today's session. We're talking about something that isn't always taught but deeply felt, self-empowerment. Maybe you've been in a phase where you feel unsure of yourself, stuck in someone else's expectations, or just disconnected from your own voice. This is your moment to reconnect. We're going to explore what it means to reclaim your power, speak up for yourself, and live a life that reflects who you are, and not just who you've been told to be. What exactly is self-empowerment? At its core, self-empowerment is about taking control of your life, not in a forceful, rigid way, but in a deeply intentional way. It's choosing to act in ways that align with your values, your needs, and your long-term goals. It doesn't mean you always know what to do. It means you trust yourself enough to figure it out, ask questions, or even change course if you need to. Self-empowerment is like a muscle. It gets stronger the more you use it, and it always begins with a choice to believe that your voice, your needs, and your presence matters. Now, why exactly is self-empowerment important? It can be from boosting self-confidence and self-worth, helping set healthy boundaries within yourself and others around you, encouraging resilience during tough times to make sure you feel comfortable and not minimize yourself, and of course, increase motivation and your sense of purpose of why you do the things you do. Empowerment begins the moment you believe your voice matters, and these are real signs that you're stepping into your power and deserve to be celebrated. Now, empowerment doesn't always look loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet and personal. You're becoming empowered when you start speaking up, not just when it's easy, but when something doesn't feel right. It shows when you make choices based on your values instead of other people's expectations. You stop asking, will they like me? And start asking, will this feel right to me? You bounce back after failure with more clarity and purpose, and you stop shrinking to make others comfortable. These shifts may seem small, but they're powerful, and they are signs that you're beginning to trust your voice, your presence, and your worth. Now, empowerment is powerful, but it's not always easy. Real roadblocks can get in the way. Fear is one of the biggest. Fear of failure, fear of being judged, fear of standing out. That fear can make it easier to stay quiet than risk being seen. People-pleasing is another. Maybe you are raised to keep others comfortable or told that speaking up is too much. And sometimes your identity or background makes you feel like you don't belong. Not seeing people like you in leadership can limit your sense of what's possible. But these roadblocks are not signs you're unqualified. They are just barriers you've learned to accept. Noticing them is the first step to moving through them. Now let's take a moment to meet Zara. She's passionate about making her school more inclusive. She wants to run for student government, but every time she thinks about it, self-doubt creeps in. She tells herself, I'm not the kind of person people vote for. She sees herself as too quiet, not from the right background, not leader material. And the night before applications are due, she actually starts to fill it out, but then she deletes everything. Now, that inner voice that says you're not enough, that you'll be judged, that you'll look foolish, is strongly present here. So, what thoughts are getting in Zara's way exactly? And how can she cope with them? At the heart of it is internalized self-doubt and fear of visibility. There's a worry that stepping up will somehow expose her, and not in a good way. But what if she challenged those thoughts? What if leadership wasn't only about being loud or extroverted? What if quiet strength was a superpower? Zara can start by reframing her mindset. Instead of thinking she has to be someone else, she can lean into the type of leader she already is and one who cares deeply about the community. It might help her to look for role models who lead with empathy or calm presence. She doesn't have to do it all at once. Taking micro steps like submitting the application, even if it feels imperfect, is still movement forward. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is show up even while you're still scared. Now, empowerment doesn't come in one flavor. There are different ways you can show up depending on where you are in your life. In your personal life, empowerment might mean finally learning to say no without feeling like you have to apologize. Social empowerment can look like standing up for someone who's being excluded or mistreated. In school or at work, maybe it means asking for a research opportunity or feedback even when it feels awkward. No matter the setting, the thread is the same. It's about knowing your voice matters and choosing to use it with intention. Empowerment isn't just a feeling, it's also an action. Now, let's talk about something most of us don't pay attention to: how we speak to ourselves. Your inner dialogue can either be your biggest ally or your greatest barrier. Take a moment to reflect. Do you often hear yourself saying things like, I'm not smart enough, or they'll think I'm annoying, or I'll always mess up? These thoughts might feel automatic, but they are not facts. The good news is that you can start flipping them as a self-talk audit. Instead of, I always mess up, try saying I'm learning from every experience. Instead of, they'll think I'm annoying, remind yourself, my perspective has value. Self-empowerment starts with self-compassion, and the more you talk to yourself like someone who's worth supporting, the more you'll start to believe it. Now, the next tool is simple but incredibly powerful. It's called the I Am Mirror exercise. Every day, take a few minutes to look at yourself in the mirror, not just to check your hair or your outfit or how you look, but truly look at yourself and say things that affirm your worth. Try saying, I am worthy, I am learning, I'm stronger than I think. It might sound cringy or it might feel awkward, but honestly, the truth is, when you repeat affirmations regularly, your brain starts to accept them as reality. Over time, you begin to internalize a different story about yourself, one that reflects your potential instead of your fear. This isn't about pretending to feel confident, it's about planting the seeds that grow into confidence. Now, when life feels overwhelming, it helps to pause and ask, what's actually in my control? You can't control someone else's opinions, you can't undo the past or force things to go your way, but you can control your response. You can choose your words, you can shape your mindset, and that's where power lives. Focusing on your zone of control won't solve everything, but it keeps your energy where it matters, and over time, that's what makes a difference. Speaking up for yourself doesn't mean being aggressive. It means being clear, honest, and grounded. Assertive can sound like, that made me uncomfortable. Now, aggressive can sound like, you're being rude again, or you're always disrespectful. Passive can sound like, it's fine, don't worry about it, even when it's not. Being empowered means finding your voice and using it with care. You don't have to yell to be heard, you just need to be real. Now, setting boundaries also isn't mean. It's a way of saying, I value my time and energy. When you say no, you make room to say yes to what really matters. That can mean turning down a favor when you're already stretched thin, or stepping away from a conversation that drains you, such as, I'm simply not comfortable discussing that. Start small. One honest no can open the door to so much more peace and your ability to grow and respect yourself. Now, confidence isn't something you're necessarily born with. It's something you build one small risk at a time. Speak in class even if your voice shakes. Ask a question even if you're unsure. Try something new even if you fail the first time. Celebrate those small wins and always have your back. Every action is evidence for your brain that you can do hard things. And that's how belief in yourself grows and confidence grows. Now let's look at another case study. Amina's group is facing a challenge, right? And Amina knows the material well, but in a group project, she chooses to stay silent, even when her partner gives her the wrong answer. She goes, I don't want to seem bossy or arrogant, she thinks. What if I'm wrong? And after each project, she feels frustrated and invisible, wondering why she keeps holding back. Now, what's keeping Amina from speaking up? This is mainly due to a fear of judgment and underdeveloped self-advocacy. It begins with having the preparation on what to do to recover from this. This can look like practicing key phrases that can give her confidence to speak up in real time. She might rehearse in the mirror or jot down a few go-to expressions she can lean on. That comes the micro goal. Maybe it's contributing once per meeting, no matter how short. Over time, these moments build trust in herself. She can also reframe how she thinks about participation. She's not being overbearing, she's bringing care and clarity to the group. And afterward, reflection becomes essential. Instead of replaying what went wrong, she can write down what went well, how it felt to be heard. Empowerment is a cycle, so prepare, act, reflect, repeat. Now let's pause and talk about the way we think about growth. There's something powerful called a growth mindset. It's the belief that abilities can be developed through effort, feedback, and persistence. It sounds like I can improve with practice. It sees mistakes not as a proof of failure, but as chances to learn. Contrast that with a fixed mindset. The voice says, I'm just not good at this, or if I fail, it simply means I'm not smart. The difference is subtle, but transformative. A growth mindset opens doors. It reminds you that progress takes time and that struggle is part of the process. It helps you see challenges as stepping stones instead of barriers. And empowerment grows when you stop asking if you're good enough and start asking, how can you keep learning? Now, it is also important to build your own personal toolkit. So write down 3 tools that work for you in terms of self-empowerment. That can be a music playlist or podcast that you consistently listen to, a list of past wins or accomplishments of yours, inspiring books or quotes, people who constantly cheer you on and you can text or message or call if you need help, and of course, daily affirmations. Now, role models can change how we see ourselves. When we witness someone who shares their background or values succeed, it opens up space for us to imagine new possibilities. A role model might be a public figure who leads with purpose, a teacher who always believes in you, or a friend who shows quiet strength. These people serve as reminders that power looks different for everyone. Take a moment to reflect. Who makes you feel seen? Who helps you feel brave? Let their example guide you, whether they're a famous figure, friends and family, or a professional mentor. And remember, you also have the power to become that kind of role model for someone else. Let's be clear about something. Empowerment does not mean you will always feel confident. It does not mean you will never doubt yourself. There will be days where you question everything, when you feel exhausted, unsure, or like you're not doing enough. That is not failure. That is simply being human. The real heart of empowerment is how you respond to those moments. Do you offer yourself grace? Do you rest without shame? Do you keep moving even if you're scared? Empowerment is messy. It is courageous. It is a process you return to again and again. And the people who inspire us most are not perfect. They are the ones who keep showing up with honesty and heart, and you are allowed to wobble and still move forward. Before we wrap up, I want to ask you something. What is one act of empowerment you're going to commit to this week? Not something huge or dramatic, something small but meaningful. Maybe you set a boundary with someone who has been draining your energy a little bit. Maybe you ask for an opportunity you've been holding back on. Maybe you finally say something you've been meaning to say. Whatever it is, write it down. This is not just an exercise, it is a promise to your future self. And pursue this as your exit ticket for today. One action can shift your entire mindset, so take this seriously, make it yours, and then when the moment comes, trust yourself enough to follow through. Thank you so much. See you guys next week.